happy Mother's Day morning as we come to you live from the Pure Sports Center in San Bernardino, California. Mother's Day 2022 as we bring you the third day of our second weekend of NVA regular season action. I'm Ira Thor, joined alongside the new dog daddy, Nick England, and Matt Prosser as we take you through this morning's 4 new matches to conclude the weekend. We'll start with our 9 a.m. match as Southern Exposure, now 1-2 on the year, look for some redemption after a loss to the LA Blaze on Friday. And they will take on the Colorado Kraken, who tasted victory for the first time as an expansion team after they knocked off the Seattle Sasquatch also on Friday. Nick?
You know, I know Southern Exposure is coming in off of a loss already, and Kraken's hot off a win. But I think at the end of the day, I looked at the experience that the Southern Exposure squad has, and I look at just the way that they play the game, and I think that their play style is not going to be a good matchup for Kraken. I like the aggression that comes through the middle from Exposure, and I don't know if there's enough serving pressure coming from this Kraken squad that they're going to be able to get Exposure out of system. When Exposure is playing their game, passing well, the middle is very active, and I think that's just going to be too much for this young Kraken squad.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I think the experience of Southern Exposure is really going to be too much for Kraken to kind of deal with. Too many players on that side will be able to offensively carry a big load for them.
And other than Liam Jenkinson, I didn't really see too many players on the Colorado side who were consistent enough to be able to play with this experienced Southern Exposure bunch. And I think this could be a clinic for an experienced program today in Southern Exposure. No pressure for us at all because they're warming up right behind us and can hear every word that we are saying. So, we had to be nice this morning. We'll move across to our 12 o'clock match. And well, these are two teams on the upswing. The New Jersey Freedom, they come in at 3-0, had a convincing win yesterday against their arch rivals, the Chicago Untouchables. Meanwhile, the Dallas Tornadoes continue just to play well behind Felix Chapman and company. They're 2-1 on the year after they took down the Inland Empire Matadors yesterday in a quick 3 sets.
Yeah, I think that we saw a lot of good pieces yesterday for Tornadoes. I think that when I look at this matchup, I think this is going to be one of our best ones of the day. I think that the inconsistencies we saw yesterday is where I raise my concern for Tornadoes. Felix Chapman, very slow to get started at the beginning of the day. And Freedom, when they came out playing Untouchables, they came to battle. So if they're able to play with that kind of same ferocity, I think this is going to be a pretty cut and dry. You might feel a little different.
I might feel a little bit different, but the more I think about it, I might be in agreement with you there, Nick. This will be a very good match for sure. Freedom, with their size, is going to pose a lot of problems for the Tornado offense. And I'm very interested to see how the Tornadoes play in back-to-back matches. Since they played yesterday, coming back to play again today, 24-hour turnaround time. It should be a very interesting match, probably the best match of the day.
I think one of the questions that has to be answered, by the way, and we didn't really pick up on it during the post-game show yesterday, but Joe Norman had 21 kills yesterday, but he's already had a bad back for a while. It was acting up after yesterday's match. Does he return today? If he is not suited up and ready to play, they're going to have to move some pieces around. That could require Matt Buffum to come in and play front row or play middle, I should say, and have Matt Seifer move from middle to the right side to take Norman's spot if he's unable to go. So we'll find out again. New Jersey Freedom also trying to match the Tyrants, become the only other unbeaten teams in the NVA. They're the only 2 remaining. We have 3 teams without a win, but that likely will change today, including with our next match at 3 p.m. The Inland Empire Matadors, they're 0-3. The Chicago Untouchables, 0-3. Of course, somebody needs to win. Chicago, to me, has more pieces to be able to make that happen. Matt?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ira. I think Chicago's going to be able to pull this one out. It should be a pretty evenly matched match, if you will, right? But Blaze kind of struggling to find, the Matadors struggling to find their identity and really the right pieces of their core group. And the Untouchables might just have the edge on for that.
Yeah, I think that's the case. When I see Danny Paraskovov and what he's been able to do so far in the NVA, it's been incredible, to be honest. The right side for the Untouchables. Jake Ostema, the 6'9", 6'10" middle that joined them out of Trinity Christian College this event, He's been doing some damage. There's a lot of pieces coming together that I think Chicago's just trying to find that right group to put it all together. On the other side, Matadors, Eric Beatty coming in yesterday, solid showing for him.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see the Matadors pieces coming in. Blake O'Martian also made his debut in the yellow jersey a little bit yesterday, was playing some solid volleyball. So I think Matadors is definitely on the upswing, but I'm not sure that they're quite ready to earn that first win compared to where I think the Untouchables are at.
Speaking of teams probably not ready to earn their first win, our 6 p.m. match will feature the Seattle Sasquatch. They're 0-3 on the year, taking on the LA Blaze, a Blaze squad that showed us something with a victory against Southern Exposure on Friday. And now that they are close to full strength, well, they might also be a team that's on the upswing, Matt.
Yeah, Travis O'Gorman had a great match for the Blaze the other day in their last match, so I expect him to do a lot of the same. And for Seattle, still trying to find that first victory and their identity and characteristics as a team, expansion team here in the NVA, but I think that one's going to go to the Blaze as well.
I agree, and I gotta say, if you're looking for a fun way to conclude your weekend, we saw some swings during that last Blaze match against Southern Exposure with Charles Belvin putting some holes in the floor. Both of the middles also for Blaze, who are not traditionally middles, were stepping in there, getting some damage done. So this LA Blaze team definitely has turned over a new leaf from where they were last year, honestly in a way that a lot of us expected. It's a different roster so far, and a lot of those players will be coming back, but we started to see the pieces that we expected last year when that team unexpectedly didn't even make playoffs.
Yeah,
so
that was a very anticlimactic end to the season for them. You could see they played their last match of the year knowing that they were out and that they were playing just for pride at that point.
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to finish a year, and they've channeled that energy into how they've started 2022.
Off to a bang so far.
So we move to the portion of the program where we will, Matt and I have some bragging rights right now because he and I were both 4-0 yesterday in our predictions. Nick, he's on the struggle bus right now. He went 2-2 yesterday on the year. Matt and I are both now 6-2 overall, and Nick is hovering around 500 at 4-4 overall.
That Tyrants and Ramblers match yesterday was a pleasure. I'll take the loss in that stat, getting to watch that one. My boys did their best, but Tyrants showed up and played, so that was a great match.
That right there may have been arguably the best regular season match in NBA history, and that kind of changed Nick's outcome here. But let's take a look at the matches one more time and do our predictions for the day. We got Southern Exposure and Kraken at 9 o'clock. I am going to start off with Southern Exposure. I think that's a pretty clear choice for myself.
Yeah, I'm sticking right with you.
This might be pretty quick today, fellas.
I think it might be.
Well, maybe not this one. 12 p.m., Freedom Tornadoes. I'm staying with New Jersey, or they're going to revoke my citizenship.
Yeah, you have to take New Jersey because that's your state of residency.
We've got our teams that are like, oh man, we're in trouble. That's yours.
Meanwhile, I'm going to take the Tornadoes. I'm curious to see how they respond after that game yesterday, but I think their pieces are going to be pretty athletic and playing for some pride on that side.
Yeah, Team Freedom has traditionally been a little bit streaky. Sometimes they go up and down. They answered beautifully the call from Chicago yesterday in a massive rivalry matchup. I'm curious here, the serve and pass. I think that Tornadoes passes well and Freedom serves well. So I'm curious who's going to get the upper hand in that battle. And I think that's what's going to dictate the game for me. I've got to go Team Freedom here, though.
Nick is allowed in New Jersey, and Matt's going to have to check himself at the border. 3 p.m., Matadors, Untouchables. Chicago, to me, is a clear-cut pick here until the Matadors show that they're able to play with some of the higher echelon teams in the league.
Yeah, manager Andrew Lee made sure that, he's always sure to tell me how good his squad is and that I should be supporting them. And I threw him a bone yesterday, so I've got a little bit of that anxiety to go back to him, but Chicago Untouchables.
Agreed, Chicago on that one.
And our 6 p.m. match, LA Blaze, Seattle Sasquatch. It's all LA all day.
Blaze is going to burn it down for me.
Yep, LA Blaze.
So 3 of them, we agreed right away, didn't even need to talk about it. So that means that 12 p.m. match against the Tornadoes and the Freedom, that's the one you certainly do not want to miss if you have to pick one of the 4 today, as that is the one that, well, there's some intrigue for us to discuss. So it is Mother's Day 2022, and we would be remiss and probably not allowed back in our homes if we did not take the time to thank the important women in our lives. And since I have the mic first, I will thank my beautiful bride of nearly 22 years, Catherine. Happy Mother's Day to you, to our great mother, to our 3 children, Gavin, Kendra, and Julia. And of course, thanks to my mom, who certainly is not watching this because she doesn't have the internet, but Mom, I love you as well.
You know, my wife was determined to become a mom for her first Mother's Day yesterday, picking up the dog that's unnamed. So happy first Mother's Day for that one. Also to Mom, got me involved in volleyball. And for all the volleyball moms that pushed their sons into the gym, giving us these awesome athletes, thank you.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there for sure. Maggie, my mom, Sherry, my stepmom, and Kristen, the mother of my kids. Love you all. Thank you so much for what you guys do.
So that's setting the scene for today. 4 more matches beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, culminating at 6 p.m. And we bring you the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th matches of the weekend. We'll see you then. And a good Sunday morning, everyone, and happy Mother's Day. And we welcome you into the Pierce Sports Center in San Bernardino, California, for the third day of action here in our second NVA regular season weekend of the season. 4 matches on tap for you today, and we start with a pair of teams that come in at 1-2 on the year. Southern Exposure, a semifinalist a year ago, taking on for the first time an expansion team in the Colorado Kraken. Well, for Colorado, we'll take a look at their starting lineup first. And I think if there's a highlight player for sure, it's Alvaro Hidalgo, who came out in his debut for the Kraken and certainly showed that in the win against Seattle, he's somebody to be feared.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, we saw him last year make his debut at the Matadors, played at event number 2 in Jersey. He's part of the Peruvian national team. So even though he comes in at a pretty short stature, very, very physical player, gets up pretty high. Reminds me, honestly, quite a bit of Eddie Mushikian across the court on the side of Exposure. So definitely keep an eye on him. Also, a lot of eyes. Number 2, Rowdy Martin. His hair is rowdy, but the setter for Colorado Kraken they brought in this event, very physical, a lot of energy, someone that you can expect to keep the boys going on the court.
Not in the lineup to start off, but certainly if they falter, he came off the bench against Seattle and was an impact player. So the lineup for Colorado, Alvaro Hidalgo will be one of the outsides. He'll be joined by Colin McAtee, number 1 on the outside. Raul Patel, who was in double figures in kills in his debut, will be the right side. Liam Jenkinson wearing number 5 out there. Dylan Haskell wears number 11. Matt Gagner, 6'7" middle, certainly made his presence felt against Seattle. He wears number 20. And Amori Miranda will get the nod at center. Take a look for Southern Exposure again. They come in at 1-2. I think a lot of folks were, you nearly got taken out here in the intro. Man, Mother's Day. What's happening here?
JJ Rosa trying to get some warmed up passes over there, throwing some heat over this way.
I have a fresh cup of coffee could have spilled. Southern Exposure, I think, was a bit of a surprise loss to LA Blaze, at least with the magnitude and how they went down. The Blaze are better, but Southern Exposure was really never in that match. Yeah,
they didn't quite show up the way they would expect. And again, as a team that has a lot, when you look at the outside hitters on Exposure, they're all ball control guys. They don't have a lot of that same physical stature when you look at some of these big, the Corey Chavers, the Jordan Hoppies, guys like that, Jake Langlois for all that matter. So there are a lot of the smaller guys, which normally we associate with a great passing line. Didn't quite come to fruition against LA Blaze. They were out of system. And where a lot of their physical prowess comes from is their middle core is so good, but that's reliant on your passing. So not having Johnny Gomez or Kyle D'Agostino was felt yesterday. And they're going to be having one of their outsides for this match, Lev Gershfeld, number 7, wearing the black and pink.
Yeah, so Lev Gershfeld will wear the libero jersey today because, well, their head coach, Tony Glessner, made his season debut. He really is not intending to play very much, but he did an admirable job.
Yeah, he did well, in all honesty. But I think that he had, they weren't sure what personnel they wanted to run. And again, when a lot of their substitutions were the outside options, I think you kind of take a look at that match. They've made some adjustments, and they've decided that Gershfeld wearing that black jersey is going to be the best option. Because ultimately, the thing to remember is when you designate your libero for the match, they can't swap and switch became swip. So you can't swap them out mid-match. So that's going to mean that Gershfeld is no longer an outside hitter option for this entire match. So I think that's what they were kind of debating in that first match against Blaze, and they've gone a different way now.
Well, Gershfeld, watching him in warm-up, certainly demonstrated some great ball control, and that is what they need without having Johnny Gomez available for this weekend. The rest of the starting lineup, the very reliable Tyler Hubbard-Neal will be one of the outsides. He'll be joined on the outside by Neil Stanley, wearing number 18. He will be making his appearance out there. On the right side, it'll be Jacob Cecil, the 6'5" product of Cal State Northridge. Middles for this one will be Tim Lurich, number 8, and Uchenna Ofoa, number 15. As Langston Payne, despite having 11 block points on the year, will not be in the starting lineup. Setting for this one, as the teams take the court, will be number 17, David Spechian, and as you mentioned, Lev Gershfeld wearing the black and pink. As the teams take the court, they shake hands. Start day number 3, our second of 5 regular season weekends. We have 4 matches on tap for you today. The 12 p.m. one certainly one to look forward to, as Team Freedom will look to join the Texas Tyrants as the only unbeaten teams remaining in the NVA. They'll take on the upstart Dallas Tornadoes. 3 o'clock will be the Matadors and the Untouchables, both teams looking for their first W of the season. And we'll close the weekend with the Seattle Sasquatch taking on the LA Blaze. Before we return back here to California, Memorial Day weekend at the end of this month.
Ira, I got to know, we talked about it for anyone that missed our morning pregame show. We talked a little bit about expectations, things we want to see, what we expect to see. I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen in this match? Not just necessarily in the final result, which I'm curious to hear, but what are you expecting from both these squads?
To me, I don't see the Southern Exposure coming out and laying an egg like they did on Friday against the LA Blaze, and I think they have a lot to prove, not to the league, but to themselves right now. And that's going to be more of a motivating factor than anything. For Colorado, they looked better, but you have to take into consideration who they were playing. And it was Seattle. Seattle, like them, growing pains, expansion franchise that, just like the Dallas Tornadoes last year, struggled. Colorado's going to struggle this year. Seattle is going to struggle this year. And that's just par for the course as you are building your franchise.
Yeah, you're coming headlong into guys that have been playing in the league since 2017 when it was started. So season 5 and that 2020 Utah event when we really overhauled the teams in the league, that kind of felt like a little bit of a rebirth perhaps. But there are still plenty of guys that have been around playing against other NVA squads for half a decade at this point. So trying to get caught up. Some of those guys weren't even in college yet when this was all started and going on. And as the league gets older, some of those interesting statements come out. I have never said that, but it kind of just clicked in real time. So some of the disparity in ages is also felt.
That's now true for really the first time, as we've reached, although it's only my second year with the league, we've reached a point now where what you said is true of players that are now coming in that were still in high school or just entering college when the NVA was born.
The goal's always been create a future for young players, and I think that there's been some success achieving that so far, but excited for what is ahead. Fans, if you want to support the league and everything going on, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and every other major social media platform, as well as NVAUSA.com. Ira, we're underway.
David Spechian starts us off with our first serve. And this will be dumped over. And sneaky, Amori Miranda had his morning cup of coffee. Ofena will be able to stick it through, and that's going to be a tough matchup all day long. Just the sheer power that Uchenna Ofoa has, I don't see that working out well for Matt Gagner. Just different types of players out there.
Ofoha, a Canadian middle that has spent time overseas 2 years ago in Spain, I believe last season in France. Very well-versed and experienced middle.
Down the line, and Hidalgo, I should say, able to put Colorado in front early 2-1. And interesting, we don't have a ton of Canadian players in the NVA, but obviously Joey Jarvis being the other one that stands out. But he and Ofoha certainly are forces to work against. So that's into the net, and we will see coming in for the front row. Here's Tim Lurich, and that means Ofoha will drop back to serve. Southern Exposure, my favorite unis in the NVA. Love those kits.
Yeah, they look great.
Dug up and sent over here. Patel will swing away. He says middles can't play defense. And that's pounded down. Oh, Neil Stanley.
Wow, I love to see the versatility there. Uchenna Ofoha gets the dig. Tim Lurich turns and dishes the rock to the outside. Great kill from Stanley.
Stanley is going to be 31 years old next week. May 13th will be that birthday as that sails long, but Jenkinson gets the touch. Majority of the Southern Exposure players are, of course, from the Sunshine State. Southern Exposure is based out of Orlando, Florida, but they have players from up and down the East Coast. Far north is Piscataway, New Jersey, where Langston Payne is from. And stuffed down. Big block by Jenkinson to get us going here, as he teamed with Haskell for the stuff. So a 4-3 lead for Colorado, and here is Matt Gagner, 6'7", out of Chicago, Illinois. That will force Orlando off the court. Hubbard Neal, that one, too much ceiling. So the ace for Matt Gagner, as the initial pass by Tyler Hubbard Neal pulled the Southern Exposure off the court. Colorado's got themselves a 5-3 lead, and Southern Exposure's got to wake up now. Off the tape. In the middle, that is blocked back. Run down by the libero Hirschfeld. And Patel clips the antenna, so that mistake gives the ball back to Southern Exposure. Pass by Patel. Patel's gonna swing away, and he's gonna get shut down.
Tim Lurich coming back from a season in Germany's second league. Fantastic block move there. He was one of our leading blockers and statistically one of the best middles in the league last year. Great to see his return.
And he and Specian team for that block, and we're even at 5. And Jenkinson again. He is somebody that is, if other than J.J. Rosa, you're going to point to a player on this Colorado team that has a chance to kind of be that leader this year, I think Liam Jenkinson is that guy.
Oh, yeah, certainly. The Englishman from across the pond joining the NVA, living here in stateside now.
And he misses long. Tried to say that in an English accent, I completely butchered it. Tried to speak to Matt in a Danish accent yesterday. Didn't work out well either.
You love your accents.
I'm terrible at them. Patel with the pass here. And that's coming our way. As the Kraken with the side out. Yeah, not yesterday. Actually, this was on Friday, as the weekend's getting away from me. On Friday, in the Kraken's 3-0 win over the Sasquatch. Hidalgo had 13 kills, but Raul Patel finished with 11 and couldn't reach that one, but he's certainly a bit of a surprise how well he played.
Mentioned earlier Liam Jenkinson being from the UK. Here's a fun one for you. How many different countries are represented between these two teams here in the gym right now, do you think? What's your guess?
Am I allowed to look at your notes?
Nope.
I'm going to guess 5 countries.
You got it right. We've got England, Uruguay, Peru, Canada, and the U.S., as well as Puerto Rico, obviously a territory of the U.S. So
We'll make that 5.5.
Yeah.
Because they do have their own national team. As that is put high off the hands by Cisla.
It always just impresses me, though, how many different countries are represented throughout the NVA. It's always impressive to see it grow each year. Players from all over the world traveling to compete in this league.
8-7 lead. That's a running save there. And then, oh, big smash by Foha, but it's going to be kept alive by Colorado and sent over. Little tight, Hubbard Neal with the tip. Hidalgo gets the winner.
Very pleased with that swing. He's doing a great job of attacking the line right now. One of those guys, like we said, smaller in stature, coming in right around, if I'm not mistaken, 5'9". There's a significant lack of natural height, so he's got to have great court vision, identify holes in the blocks, and he does it so well.
Dylan Haskell with the serve. And that is poked through by Hubbard Neal, who was able to tiptoe the center line and avoid coming over. Here's David Spechian. Big serve, Spechian unloads the ace.
He's been at the helm of a variety of Southern Exposure serving runs, so love to see what he's able to produce regularly and reliably. Derek Sullivan will be making his return in event number 3, but for now, Spechian doing a fantastic job running the team.
Another big serve over on one. Chance here to run the offense to the middle. Oh, and missing wide. A rare misfire by Ofoha.
That dump already went down one time, so a great recognition there from the block of Exposure to be up and committed there on Amari, but unable to come up with it is Ofoha.
So Miranda will serve. Aranito, Puerto Rico native. And he gets the ace, reaching out and unable to keep it in play was Gershfeld. And we're even at 10-10 here in game 1. Good pass by Gershfeld. A run Tyler Hubbard Neal, who gets the cross-court smash.
Great high swing. Hubbard Neal, someone that we have had absolutely take over matches from Exposure. Another fantastic server. See if he can get his day started off a little early here with a 1-point lead to get him going.
Hubbard Neal had 9 kills in the loss to LA earlier in the week. And there's the return fire by Hidalgo.
I think that's the 4th kill already for Hidalgo, if I'm not mistaken.
He finished with 13 in his debut for the Kraken in the win on Friday. And not only did he have 13 kills, he did it on 18 swings without an error. 72% hitter. 72% hitter as an outside hitter. Patel, he gets stuffed. Just too much height there as Ofoha, and he teams up with Cecil to shut the door.
Cecil, the Cal State Northridge right side, is another one of the options that the team has used besides Jan Sullivan, but also Chad Mercado here this weekend. He's getting his court time, been with the team since its inception in 2020.
From the back row, Hubbard Neal. Did he get a touch? He did not. And a side out to the Kraken. So here is Matt Gagner, Clark University product. Not a great first pass there. And the poke is short. And not much for Southern Exposure. They are shooting themselves in the foot here by having these errant passes on, quite frankly, serves that haven't been electric.
I was going to say, actually, that one I was watching, Gagner had some pretty good movement. That float serve is moving.
You see it better than I do then, because it looks barely playable. So that is blocked back. They'll go to the right side. Cecil gets a double touch.
Well, to talk to that point, I got to say, at this level of play, as an outside hitter that passes these balls, I will take someone crushing jump serves at me all day long compared to a middle blocker serving a float serve, because that middle blocker, 6'6", 6'7", 6'11", if you're Sean Dennis, that point of contact is so high. When they're hitting that ball down and it starts moving, it is very hard to handle, where there's a little bit more of a predictable trajectory from a jump serve. Now, again, that's a little bit of an asterisk. Again, when you get some of those top jump servers, they're never an easy time. But in general, broad strokes, I'd rather be passing the jump than the float.
As long as it's not Matt Hilling or Ian Cap on the unloading side, I can certainly see your point. And that is put away by Dylan Haskell.
To your point, though, I mean, this pass on the jump serve here was still shaky. Southern Exposure looking like they're kind of reliving a bit in some of the struggles they were having yesterday. I just expect the passing to be better with how reliable these guys usually are in the serve receive line.
There's too much talent on the Southern Exposure side to not be passing at least at 2.5 to 3 at half the time.
Yep, I agree.
I understand that you're going to have, especially with some of these moving floats, balls that are going to carry you off the court now and then, but it's been too much, too often early on.
I totally agree. And there's an expectation, regardless of the skill of the serve, that the passing can battle with it.
Here's Neil Stanley to serve.
Bit of a challenge to give to them.
And that one can't be kept in. Jenkinson again. And that will take us to our first tactical timeout of the morning. Colorado has themselves a 2-point lead, a little bit of surprise as we start day number 3. More to come. And we're back here at courtside. Ira Thor joined alongside Doggy Dad, Nick England. On Mother's Day 2022, the Kraken with an early 2-point lead. If you missed it yesterday, Nick and his lovely newlywed bride have adopted their first dog, so just in time for Mother's Day, they are now mom and dad.
Yeah, nothing like a weekend full of volleyball, lack of sleep, with throwing a new puppy in there in the middle of the night. It's always a great way to start the weekend.
Dog is still unnamed. I have suggested the name Thor. That is on the consideration list, but as of right now, the dog still is just named Dog.
Yeah, we're just saying random names and seeing if what we get responded to.
Seeing what sticks. After the dump for Colorado, they lead by 3. Patel, your server. Hubbard Neal swinging away for a result. As the 4th kill for Tyler Hubbard Neal so far this morning. And here's Tim Lurich. The only points scored so far as a result of a block. Already 2 blocks as a team for Southern Exposure, but they still trail. Good pass by J.J. Rosa, so reliable, and that allows Hidalgo to whip it. Whip it real good.
I was about to say it. I didn't know if that's where you were going with it. Glad we're on the same page. I think we're hitting that point, Ira. We've been doing this together long enough.
I mean, you're playing against Southern Exposure. I think this is required material.
Yeah. Nice serve.
Nice serve. Hubbard Neal gets an incredible pass considering, and a Foha with the answer.
That's what we expect to see. A tough serve. I mean, that thing was chasing the sideline, but Hubbard Neal was having absolutely none of it with a perfect pass to run the middle. That's what this offense requires.
That is about as good of a pass you will ever see at the professional level on a serve that basically was hugging the sideline. Incredible work. And then return fire Hidalgo. He just doesn't miss. He doesn't make errors. And, the announcer jinx might be in play here, but, he hasn't made one yet in the 2 matches he's played in the NVA this year.
I don't think even we could jinx it out of him based on how well he's swinging right now.
I don't know. I've done some basketball games where free throw shooters made 37 in a row, and I mentioned they immediately missed. So.
Yeah. One thing we've talked about consistently is Kraken's ability to battle in serve receive, because when they have consistent passing, they have the tools to score. And I think that so far they've been doing that quite well, and it's showing on the scoreboard right now. So it's good for them. See if they can keep it up. And there it is. Great middle run in transition out of that.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about the matchup that probably favored Ofoha, but it was Gagner who was the quicker middle there.
All off the
was
back.
Very late jumping.
Yeah, all off the great pass there of Rosa.
Here's Hidalgo. The pass by Gershfeld. And down the line, but missing wide. Oh, an errant miss there by Neil Stanley, and I think Southern Exposure is going to want to have a chat.
Time for a challenge.
Ooh, they're going to challenge it. So they will go to the replay, and you have a monitor courtside. We don't, unfortunately, due to the new technology, have the replay hooked right up to the broadcast. However, we found a workaround thanks to our MacGyver-like crew, as they've been able to zoom in on the video screen so you can see what they see courtside. So there's 5 things that you can challenge technically, and or at least 5 categories that you can challenge. And
yeah,
so send it to Doggy Dad for the explanation.
Yeah, so we've got cameras set up on every line, as well as the net system itself. So you can challenge things like a touch on the net. You can challenge a net itself. Back row attack. So on the 3-meter line or 10-foot line, you can challenge a foot fault on the serve. And I'm missing what the 5th one is off the top of my head. But a lot of the net-related play. There are still some judgment calls that are unchallengeable, things like a touch in the back row. However, in the NVA, the way that we handle our challenges is that 3 challenges are awarded to each team at the beginning of the match. They are able to use those challenges at any time that fits within challengeable categories, as we just discussed. If they get it right, they get to keep their challenge. If they are incorrect in their challenge, they lose it. You can use those at any time, so they could use 3 in the 4th set. They could use all 3 in the 1st set if they would like. But if and when we reach a 5th set, regardless of how many you have, you are awarded 1 in the 5th set, and that's it. But the same rules apply. You get your challenge right, you get to keep it. That's important to note because yesterday in the match with the Tyrants and the Ramblers, there was an opportunity when the Ramblers were up 13-10 in the 5th set. Jake Langlois rolled a ball missing the blocker John Carlson, and he knew it. He didn't want to challenge. Coach Mauro Grasso decided to use that challenge at that point, even though Langlois had told him it should not be challenged. Mauro Grasso was using it kind of as a timeout to slow the game down. It almost bit them later on a call that they wanted to challenge, but now did not have a challenge to use. Luckily for them, we had a good vantage point here and knew that the challenge then would not have been successful, so it didn't impact the game. But game management certainly in effect there. Back at it.
And that's the best example you possibly could give is what happened in that 5th set. Almost came back to bite the Tyrants, but it also might have been the spark plug they needed to come back. They were trailing 13-10, and the length of that challenge was roughly the length of 3 consecutive timeouts. So it really helped slow things down and allow them to regain their composure. One of the all-time great matches you'll have ever seen in the NVA. Roll shot by Jankinson, so well disguised. So 22-18, the Kraken have their largest lead of the day. Colorado, when they beat Seattle on Friday, that first set, nobody really wanted to win. It was 36-34. Colorado finally survived. Seattle had like 7 set points and couldn't finish the deal before they won the next 2 sets, 25-20 and 21. And since then, that first set against Seattle has kind of woken up Colorado. They have played like a more experienced team ever since. And they lead 22-19 even with that ball sailing wide. As that lands for the ace by Jacob Ciesla.
It's funny, we just took a deep dive into the challenge system, so something I really, really love doing here. I took a look when that hit, because it's hard to tell with the black line and the blue line so close to each other there. I looked to the bench from Colorado, and their guys over there were immediately telling the guys, yep, that one was in, no problem, next point. So I'd love to see that kind of communication happening, because if it was out, the bench would be the first ones to indicate this is a call to challenge.
Gershfeld, looked like he hesitated just a second, and that was enough for that ball to fall in. And Southern Exposure is going to chat about this one, down 3 here in the first set.
Kraken really showing a lot of versatility right now. They're scoring well. Liam Jenkinson doing some damage on the right side. Alvaro Hidalgo is an absolute force. But I got to say, I'm really impressed right now in the middle. We're seeing Haskell get some good block touches, Gagner getting his points. This team is starting to come together, create a nice little identity for themselves. And like we said, this is so reminiscent of the journey that we saw from the Dallas Tornadoes. You do your best to put a roster together for that first event. You come in, you test the waters, you put your toe in, see what it's like, and you continue recruiting and training based on that experience. So Kraken continuing to find and bring in new players that are going to be the right fit for this team to compete in the NVA. And that's a season-long endeavor, but they have showcased their commitment to doing so. It makes it really exciting to follow that team and become a fan.
Jenkinson left that one short. So a side out here. And it'll be Neil Stanley, collegiately Erskine College, native of Apopka, Florida. That might come over on one. Hubbard Neal with the initial touch. They go back to Hubbard Neal. And that's coming our way. Hubbard Neal. Can you reach? Raul Patel asks if he's allowed to jump over the barricade and onto the scorer's table to save it. And while I would recommend against it, if you could do it, go for it.
Yeah, he can. And if he's got the thousands of dollars that he wants to help reinvest in all the equipment over here, then by all means, man, I love it. I love the commitment and the willingness, but I'd rather we just get a better first contact.
I asked Patel when he came over, can you clear it? He's like, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
That's some confidence, because not only is that, 4 feet high, it's a good 5-6 foot broad jump too. So.
Oh, I mean, the getting over it's not the problem. It's the
landing though.
The landing is the issue.
That was set point for Patel. That one lands out of bounds. So this will be second set point opportunity for Colorado here. Plus, I think we'd had some casualties courtside.
Me, yeah.
And we've never had an in-match NBA
Our lovely
death.
scores table is doing far too much work to deal with that nonsense.
Second set point here. And blocking error. That will be a kill for Hidalgo. And look at this. The Kraken hold off Southern Exposure 25-23 in our opening set. And they have an upset brewing here as they take game number 1 by 2. Second set coming up here on Mother's Day in San Bernardino. Be back. Join us. And we're back here courtside after the Colorado Kraken took a ride in game number 1 and, well, held off Southern Exposure 25-23. I think a bit of a surprise to a lot of us in this gym, and we'll see how Southern Exposure answers in game number 2, because if they lose this match, man, they're going to have a 3-week period to think about this before Memorial Day coming up, and that's a tough way to start a season for a team with such high expectations, Nick.
It certainly is.
That's some incredible insight.
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the YouTube chat, just looking, got some opinions on the Southern Exposure jerseys.
Well, now I got to go look at the chat because I love these jerseys, but...
Yeah, it's fighting words you got there for you, Ira.
Uh-oh. I got to go take a look here. Colorado in their lava-like unis start us off here. Running that one down. Trenton Lance is in the match for the first time. That's poked over here. That's the only change for Colorado. He did not play against Seattle. Oh my goodness. Hidalgo, fire. Taking a look at the numbers from our opening set, the Kraken had a 17-12 advantage in the kill column and hit 61% as a team. They're also passing at a 68% rate.
Alvaro Hidalgo with 7 kills on 9 attempts, no errors. That is insanity.
He obviously had time as that is stuffed down. Matt Gagner didn't have to go up too high, but just got enough to place it for Hidalgo, who played for the Matadors for some time last year. You know, he's could be added to that case for the most improved player in the NVA this year.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that unfortunately we didn't get to see enough of him last year. So it's great to see him make his return. Hopefully we get to see a multitude of events from him. Been a welcome addition to this squad for sure.
One change for Southern Exposure. Eddie Mushikian's now in the match, the 5'11" outside out of Atlanta, Georgia. Always brings energy, which this team needs right now, and he will drop back to serve.
Definitely does bring that energy. Both teams the exact same, except for one outside, Mushikian on the side of Exposure, and like you mentioned earlier, on the side of Kraken, number 7, Trenton Lance. So otherwise, they think that the squads they've got out there is the right way to go, and they're going to head on forward.
So I'm looking in the chat now, and I see Alex Pereira is not as big a fan of the Southern Exposure unis as I am, but you know, there's something as this one will come over on one, and the wicked smart Matt Gagner puts it down.
Great recognition of open court. Gagner now up to, I believe,
That's going to be 3 offensive points for him.
Hidalgo, a little off balance from the back row, gets it to go over. Rosa, one hand off of the moon. And Trenton Lance, he's the benefactor. JJ Rosa only needs one arm to play D.
Now, here's a fun one for you. Trenton Lance, the youngest player in the NVA, I believe coming in at 19 years old, did not attend college. Everyone else on our stat sheet has the college they attended. His is that he played at 417 Club Volleyball. He then opted to pursue the NVA, forego his NCAA eligibility, which had D1 offers, and decided to pursue the AVP and NVA all the same. So he just wanted to get straight into it and thought that that was going to be the fastest road to him achieving what he wanted in his volleyball career.
And an ace for Southern Exposure, as that is landed by Tim Lurich, and Southern Exposure. They'll find themselves down 5-3, but they've already uncorked 2 aces here. Start game number 2. At that time that I saw the movement that you were talking about, Nick.
Yeah.
As Hidalgo runs this one down. Definitely a good call by you. And that is stuffed back. Reach out and stuff someone. Liam Jenkinson and Matt Gagner.
I gotta say, I haven't had a chance. I've just kind of missed a lot of the Kraken matches from the broadcasting side. And this is one of the first ones that I've been able to see Matt Gagner And man, he is really impressing right now, having a great showcase blocking and scoring offensively. Excited to see what he's able to continue doing.
Tyler Hubbard, Neal, back-to-back stuffs. Jenkinson, this time with Haskell, and Kraken up the Southern Exposure team right now because, my goodness, they are swinging it, and they're just not able to avoid anything. First of all, the block is one thing, but when J.J. Rosa is able to have a dig off the ceiling, and now I have nothing else to say. Putting the headset down.
Yep, I'll take it from here. Wow, 3 back-to-back blocks for the men in red and black. The Colorado Kraken is unrelenting.
As the first time in my NVA career where I've actually dropped the headset because I've been speechless. I like to talk, and when I have nothing to say, my goodness. Triple play of blocks here, 3 in a row, and if you're Southern Exposure, Nick, right now, you're playing a Kraken team they got nothing to lose. They don't have high expectations. They are an expansion team. They have, with the exception of J.J. Rosa, nobody with true long-term NVA experience. Hidalgo obviously has had a cup of coffee.
You're very right on that. I mean,
this is a Southern Exposure team that was a semifinalist last year, has everybody back.
Yep.
And this right now is just unexpected.
And what always was the reason that Southern Exposure has always been so successful was their energy. And right now they just feel like they're kind of missing that X factor.
Maybe they should only play late night matches. 4 in a row!
This is an incredible
Quattro
blocking
Blocko.
performance. Wow. And everyone's contributing. It started with Gagner. It went to Jenkinson. It went to Haskell. Now Trent Lance.
The youngster from Springfield, Missouri gets involved. And then
Gagner.
Gagner gagged a little bit on that.
That was
Sorry.
No worries, we can head over to the bench. He can breathe that one off. He was a little bit in shock and awe of the clinic.
I gotta say, his expression after missing the serve was priceless.
Yeah.
I did what?
All right, guys, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and head over here and think about that one.
Rosa, that one at least stays nearby. Lance able to get a hand on it, and they send it over. Can Southern Exposure counter? This time they have to try to roll deep because the block has been shutting them down. Oh, and Hidalgo just brings the pain.
Absolutely hammering the ball. The versatility right now of this Kraken offense is truly impressive. I feel like we're getting an absolute show from a team that's been building to this point for some time now.
So here's Liam Jenkinson, a 6-point lead for the Kraken. And that one will slip through as Ofoha puts it down, but even then, the Kraken were right there. Almost another block. They go outside to Trenton Lance, and he tools the block.
Amari Miranda's only defensive move was to quickly check where that ball was headed and just politely step out of the way and let the tool finish as that ball goes out of bounds. Big swing there from Trenton Lance.
And props to the nimble toes of Liam Jenkinson. The ball came behind our set here. He was able to retrieve the ball without knocking over 2 cameras at his size.
Hidalgo with a great stop.
Mashikian, he gets the winner. So Southern Exposure needed somebody. And it's the smallest pin hitter they have. But I tell you what, I love watching Eddie play because he comes out and he means business, but he's bringing so much energy to this team. You would think that based on their unis that they would play with high energy all the time, but I haven't seen that so far today.
Yeah, it's been a little flat so far this season. Something they've been trying to find that identity and bring it back.
And that will
what a
be
dig.
saved. Tyler Hubbard Neal, and this will be sent over. J.J. Rosa, the pass Oh, and there's a return block. Tim Lurich shuts the door.
Fantastic horizontal movement there from Lurich. Reads the 3 route from Haskell. Fantastic. Gets his hands up, drops him back into the wrist away swing, and takes the option away.
Well, with all the blocking Colorado has been doing, at some point Southern Exposure had to get involved as well. Ofoha with the dig. And the roll shot covered by Colorado. Hidalgo.
Lefty.
Ofoha again. Jenkinson's there. Hidalgo one more time. Tools to block.
Alvaro Hidalgo saved that set with a left-handed swing to bring it back into the court, keep the ball alive, and give his team another chance. Fantastic out-of-system battling from the Colorado Kraken on that rally.
And Hidalgo is in double figures, 11 kills already. Jenkinson got a piece of it. That's not going to be saved, though, and a side out for Southern Exposure.
A much-needed point there produced from the right side. Ciesla.
So Jacob Ciesla will drop back to serve. Ciesla played again at Cal State Northridge. He finished his career 4 years from 2013 to 17 with some pretty impressive numbers. 841 career points that he helped score at Cal State Northridge, and he will have another serve. Here is Southern Exposure. Cuts it to 3.
J.J. Rosa with a heroic effort there to pick that ball up from Lurich, but Lurich able to just do a little too much to be brought back into play.
And that one just long by Ciesla. Ciesla, by the way, finished his collegiate career with 712 kills in 4 years, including one season his junior year where he had 314.
Wow.
Big years he had playing for Northridge. And here's Miranda. That comes over on 1. Quickly back to set. Goes Hidalgo with the roll shot. And sent over by Specian on 2. Laying out to Hidalgo. And Lance will just free it over. And the send was not deep enough. Tim Lurich capitalizing.
Little give and go action. You love to see that play. Anytime a ball goes short and the middle takes first ball, they're going to set up a tempo so fast. It feels like hitting lines. Hand pass to Specian from Lurich, and he gets the set and crushes the ball there. Great offensive opportunity from Exposure.
Liam Jenkinson, the Englishman. The Queen approves.
The left-handed hammer from the left side. That's a tough swing to make, but well done by number 5.
Now Hidalgo whips that one wide.
Exposure can breathe a sigh of relief because there was a lot of pace on that serve.
And he set up with one hand, but that's dug up by Southern Exposure. And this attack, however, is left short. No block this time. Matt Gagner did a good job of making sure that even though the set wasn't there, that he was able to place it and get back and play D.
Give himself another opportunity for a big block and shuts that one down. Another miss serve short.
So here's Specian, played at Pfeiffer University. He's a native of Cleveland, Ohio. And that's just long, as that is called by our line judge on this side, Laura Garbarino. Stephen Shepard, your referee for this one. Ty Boyd is our R2. Should we have any more challenges? Scott Thompson on the other line.
So that's going to be a challenge up top.
Well,
There was
if there's going to be any challenges, and we get one immediately.
Yep.
And there was a Specian brought that into the conversation. I could hear him say, guys, was that a challenge? You see that? And everyone was having a little discussion about how close that was. So once again, it's all about a little bit of a democracy, figure out what the team thinks is best. And it's incredible how much the coaches trust their players' opinions there. And it's a very quick conversation across the board to know what's best. Now, I want to address another quick comment asking, do they get paid to play? That is entirely up to every club how they choose to manage it, but there are plenty of players on contracts getting paid to be in the NVA. Not all, certainly, but the majority of teams have players on contracts to be playing. It's a lot of their big names, so that is certainly a part of the league. That's why it's so important when these teams are putting out content, when they're putting out clothing, things like that, that these teams that our fans get involved. Go check out our shop at nvausa.shop. Tons of awesome merch for you to get and support your favorite teams out on the court. Support the league by checking out nvausa.com. Download the app NVA USA on all major app stores. And check us out on all major social media platforms. A lot of Instagram content and TikTok lives coming to you all the time. So be sure to check that out. And you can always get more fill of NVA even more when we're not live between events.
Nick England is getting paid because he's the vice president of awesomeness. And the players are sitting there having some reactions, and perhaps this might have hugged the line. A little tough to tell with the camera right there, but I believe this is going to go down as an ace. I think that clipped the line there.
I didn't get a chance to see it. That's going to be a point for exposure. Ace.
Yep, yeah, clipped it. That's an ace.
If you're ever looking,
Specian.
if you ever need a quick rule of thumb, the down ref steps to the opposite side of the pole to indicate where the point goes. So before the call is made, you can always get a 1-second preview. When they step to the left, it's going right. If they step to the right, it's going left.
See, I did not know that. No, I've taken officiating courses, and well, another nice insight from Nick England. As that is snaked through by Hubbard Neal. And that one a little long.
4.
4. Man, that's something I would have said. I'm rubbing off on you, brother.
Yep. Got to give a shout out to our VP of Communications, Vinny Rodriguez, on the back line there, getting targeted with that one. If he's not looking through the camera just right, might get hit.
Oh, punished! Oh, Foha! Scorching the earth.
That is a heck of a swing.
And with that, Southern Exposure has clipped it to 1. The reversal on the ace. And then that smash by Foha gives Tyler Hubbard Neal now serving a chance to tie. Jenkinson, that one sailed long, but he got the touch. And I think that was a good call. Looked like the ball changed trajectory.
Yep. Not a lot of spin on the ball to indicate, which is usually a good indicator, but you definitely saw that right. It ricocheted up, and no hesitation. Got a lot of touch calls immediately from our fine officiating crew in gray.
So here's Trenton Lance. No truth if he was named after the capital of New Jersey. Foha. Pascal got hands on that one and sent over on 2. And dumped right back as Rosa runs it down. Trenton Lance snakes it through.
Oh, Foha trying to quickly locate that ball as it squeaked through his hands. Doesn't quite find it. And that's going to be a point for the Kraken now with a 3-point lead. Ira, this is going the exact opposite direction that we predicted.
Well, I had to be wrong eventually. Me, Matt Prosser, can't be right all the time.
Certainly not the case on day 1 either, was it? Mr. 500.
Hey, we were 4-0 yesterday. As that is a tool to block for Southern Exposure, they get the side out. I asked a question in the chat, show of hands, which set of uniforms do you prefer, the Southern Exposure's baby pink and sky blue or the hot lava of the Colorado Kraken? Tell us your opinion in the chat. As Liam Jenkinson misses that one wide, as saw Southern Exposure just pull their arms back and avoid a touch there. And it's a one-point game again, so Ofoha will have a chance to tie it up. Which set of kits do you prefer, Mr. England?
Oh, I'm going Southern Exposure all the way.
You love her baby pinks and blues.
My favorite is actually their the black that the libero Lev Gershfeld is wearing is my favorite, with the black majority with the pink secondary.
Is that their third version? They have the blue. They have the blue and pink.
I don't honestly remember. They've got either 2 or 3. I can't recall how many kits they've got.
That one is carried off the court, swinging away, and Cecil nearly got that to fall. Great defensive play. However, it will not land on the court. Dylan Haskell falling out of bounds, got a touch, and we are back to 1 again. Yes,
that was
squad's not going away.
A questionable second contact, but it was just talked about that, you know, the up ref could not see that, therefore did not make the call. But Exposure is rewarded all the same, so indifference, but only down by 1 now. Cecil continues the run.
Good pass by Hidalgo. They go back to him, and he continues to pay dividends.
I mean, this is impressive. The fact that not only that he's scoring so effectively, but the fact that he's doing it with so few or no errors at all. Miranda to serve now again.
Good serve by Miranda. Poked over on 2. Rosa runs it down. Hidalgo, fire!
He's got an absolute whip crack going over there on the outside. Man, he just feels like there is no answer on the side of Southern Exposure.
And Colorado keeps answering. They're up by 3 as Miranda serves. Leaves it short.
A solid run there for the setter for the Kraken. And now Eddie Mushikian, who's been hitting a deep standing float to try and get some movement, looks at the coach and says, hey man, I'm hitting the jump serve. He wants to get a little bit going here. Someone that is normally a jump server, he thinks the risk is worth the reward here. So
Eddie swings away. Rosa with the pass. They give it to Jenkinson, and Cecil with the dig. Here's Hubbard, kneel down the line, that'll fall in. A right-handed touch by Miranda, but not enough for Colorado to extend the play. And one more time, Southern Exposure with a chance to tie. They've had these opportunities 3 other times and haven't been able to follow through. We'll see if Mushikian can extend it. And he leaves it short.
Able to get 1 though on his service run back there at the very least. This is a critical moment to get a first ball side out for the side of Exposure if they want to stay in and keep battling with Colorado.
Hidalgo, 14 kills already in 2 sets, left that one short. So for the 5th time, Southern Exposure with a chance to tie it.
Tim Lurich, I recall last year, event number 1, I think had upwards of 35 serve attempts with no service errors. So a very consistent server, someone that puts a lot of pace. Yeah.
And Trenton Lance, an impossible angle trying to hit from behind the referee stand. And we are now tied at 22 all. And they're going to go back to Raul Patel for Trenton Lance.
Maybe slow the game down a little bit, but if you're Lurich hitting that float serve, you can guarantee I'm targeting zone 5 right now. I'm going after the brand new sub after he's been cold for a full set. See if I can take the lead right now.
Instead, it's Hidalgo who takes the serve. And tooling the block, Jenkinson with a timely kill to give Colorado back a 1-point lead at 23-22. So now it gets interesting. We'll see Matt Gagner serving. Tull, who re-entered, he had 3 kills in the first set.
Standing flow with a lot of pace, not handled well and now out of system.
Hubbard Neal, Gagner with the initial touch, and this will be sent over by the Kraken. They go to Hubbard Neal, and he misses long. Oh my, and the Kraken will have set points. In fact, 2 to work with after Southern Exposure calls timeout.
Wow, timeout forced. That's impressive. Kraken able to hold on. A nice little substitution there, whether it's just to slow the game down a little bit, maybe make Lurich think about that serving target just a little bit more. You know, hard to tell exactly, but seems to have worked nicely for the Kraken squad here, as they're going to give themselves 2 chances to win this match before they start that 2-point race.
Well, Southern Exposure, they've had ample opportunities.
Yeah.
4 chances to tie, finally tied it on the 5th, and then handed it right back.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is not only earning the point to on your side out, but finding ways to earn what's called a real point, and that's when you score a point on your serve. Most teams are, if you're siding out at a 70% rate, that's when you're being very successful as a team. So right now, I mean, that means that only 30% of the time you earn a real point. The goal is to push that as far as you can, and that's in. That's going to be a great kill on the cutback swing there from Ofoha.
So Foha staves off the set for once. Here's a second try, as dropping back to serve will be David Specian. 24-23 set point number 2 for the Kraken. Good serve by Specian. From the back row, Hidalgo gets the touch off the net. And the hands of Ofoha, it cannot be preserved. And for the second time, the Kraken take it 25-23. And surprise, surprise, they lead 2 sets to none. Southern Exposure, can they pull the reverse sweep? We'll have to start in game 3 when we return. And we're back here courtside where we have a hashtag upset alert as Colorado leads the Southern Exposure. 2 sets, none, both games 25-23, and majority of that can be credited to Alvaro Hidalgo, who is putting up just scintillating numbers, 15 kills on 21 attempts, and for the second match in a row, no errors, hitting better than 71% while also passing as their primary passer at a 61% clip.
Yeah, what I'm impressed by, or I guess in awe of more than anything, well, besides that right there, that fun stat, is the fact that right now Kraken has 12 serving errors with 1 ace, and Exposure has 4 errors, 4 aces. If you were looking at that stat line, you would not expect this to be a 2-0 lead for the Colorado Kraken, but they're finding ways to outscore Exposure off the service line in an impressive amount.
So if Southern Exposure is going to find some answers, and you need to do it quick or they're going to get swept again. As David Spesian gets us going. And that's put down. I tell you what, you look at Matt Gagner and you don't look at it. Physically does not appear to be an overpowering middle, but he's just consistent out there.
Yeah, he's been finding ways to score from blocks, from tips, from the 50-50 net balls to control. That's a good little bit of vision there, but he's also been thumping a couple balls pretty good.
He's heady out there. He's a high IQ player, you can tell. As that is snaked through by Jenkinson. And Colorado, 2-0 lead.
See a question in chat asking where the spectators are. The spectators are on the same side of the court as all of our cameras, so they're actually down below the majority of our cameras or next to them on the sidelines. So if you're interested in checking out this action live, head on out to San Bernardino, California, at Pierce Sports Center. Tickets can be purchased online or in person here at the event. Check out NVA USA on Instagram for some posts that give you a little bit more information. But we're going to be here all day long. Team gear being sold here in person, as well as some pizzas, other concessions on stand.
And there's a big block that Southern Exposure needed to have. Sisla and Ofoha. This is the fourth block for Southern Exposure in 3 sets. Yeah, you can't see our spectators live because they are on the back wall of the arena. And we do have 2 levels. We have some folks who are watching from the 2nd level. And Southern Exposure can't pull that one off of the net. And again, Southern Exposure is shooting themselves in the foot here with Aaron passing. Nearly over on 1, and Mashikian saves the day. And getting the touch for the kill for the Kraken is Jose Lopez, who's entered a match number 8 as a new outside hitter. So they've gone with now a 3rd different look there. They started the day with Raul Patel, and he's been up and down. Trent Lance came in and played the 2nd set before being subbed out late. Jose Lopez seeing his first action of the day. Mashikian puts one away. So Ofoha will serve. It is a 5-2 lead for Colorado. And nearly fell in. Hubbard kneels there for it, and turning and swinging, Eddie getting it done.
All right, I had to go talk with the Kraken bench, Coach Jonathan Dacklison, really quick. So I verified Basically, they know that Alvaro Hidalgo is the clear outside option they want on the court. He wants to give all of his other guys a chance to see some court time, see what they can do. So there's no complaints with any performances that anyone's putting up. He's happy with how everyone's playing. Just wants to see a variety of lineups. And, you know, they're all working, so props to them.
Yeah, Jenkinson whips another kill. He's been their number 2 option in this match, and he'll drop back to serve. But yeah, you just got to keep feeding Hidalgo, ride that high as long as you can. At Colorado Rocky Mountain High. And Meshikian, did he get a touch? He did not. Eddie believes he got one. Looked towards his bench, thought about asking for a challenge, but I think they're going to hold on to this one. So a 7-3 lead for Colorado. And lefty, another good serve, and Tyler Hubbard-Neal somehow gets a precise pass, and it allows Tim Lurich to tip it to a useful spot. So here's Sisla. Rosa, another textbook pass. Haskell with the swing. Tyler Hubbard-Neal swings away over on one. Do they go back outside to Meshikian? They do, but he misses long.
Hubbard-Neal a little erratic on that swing. He ended up on the ground. I didn't really get a chance to see what happened there, but
well, he didn't get a chance for a full approach, so he kind of had to do one of those beach hops.
yeah.
Best way to describe it again. The set was behind him, and Hubbard-Neal had to put on the brakes. Jenkinson again. Sisla can't bring it back. And the Kraken have themselves a 9-4 lead, trying to sweep this match.
It feels like the connection on the side of the Kraken is just a little too much right now for this Southern Exposure block. There's a lot of one-on-ones going on, and that's all based on the passing line right now of the Kraken. JJ Rosa doing a nice job. Hidalgo is on top of it, and whoever the 0-2 has been rotating through has been doing a great job as well.
Meshikian this time cross-court got the touch.
Meshikian showcased that exact same control to hit that sharp angle at event number 1 in their second match. Doing it once again.
Meshikian, who actually spends some time in Colorado and has practiced with some of these guys.
Yeah.
So he knows the Kraken team well. Dug off the net by Lurich. Here's Hubbard-Neal, and he gets stuffed. Haskell leading the way with Lopez.
You know, the position is called middle blocker, and we love to credit big swings from players, but Haskell and Gagner right now doing a fantastic job controlling the net.
We go back to Hubbard-Neal, and he finds an answer.
Like that set selection from Specie and spread the offense out. Get Hubbard-Neal on a quick set out to the pin and attack the smaller blocker there of number 9, Amari Miranda.
So here's Lurich, 10-6. Kraken in front. Goes deep corner, and he lands the ace. Useful spot for Lurich. Lurich, his first ace of the day, his 4th overall point. Flips the tape, nearly lands another. And sent over on two sneaky Amori Miranda. Easy for me to say.
A tongue twister when you say it quick.
And Miranda will serve. Goes outside. Tyler Hubbard-Neal, and he tools it out.
Able to take advantage. That's a big block there too. The 6'7" Gagner joined by the 6'5" Jenkinson. They're putting up a very well-formed block.
And just that 6 inches between the hands and the antenna, enough for him to sneak it through. So here's Specian. And he misses wide. That pushes the lead to 12-8 Kraken.
Is this about to be a 3-0 sweep on an extremely unexpected takedown here from Kraken? I mean, it doesn't look like it could go any other way right now.
And a back row attack violation on the Southern Exposure on that ball that nearly came over on one. A big serve by Hidalgo. And I hate to sound a little corny with this comparison, but Southern Exposure is being exposed.
Yeah.
As good as they are, as much talent as they have,
they just can't get anything to go their way, it feels like. And Colorado Kraken, this is looking, I mean, they've used a variety of lineups. And when you're new to the league, there's one thing what guys can do in their own gym. But when you've got to show up and play in the big time, you don't always know who can make that transition, because there's a lot of quick adaptation that has to occur. When you know your teammates that you're training against, you learn their patterns, their tendencies, and it can give you a leg up. But when you got to play new players that you may or may not have seen, may or may not have scouted, you've got to learn on the fly.
nice back set. Ofoa able to get some hands on it. This is sent over. Southern Exposure needs a counter here. That is blocked back. Another chance here for Southern Exposure. The tip flips the net. Hidalgo for the back row comes through yet again. And the lead is 6.
That was an impressive cover. Recycle mid-rally. JJ Rosa comes flying in. Able to get that pickup there.
Sisla gets a momentary reprieve here with the side out. Substitution has been made here by Southern Exposure. Here's Chad Mercado for the first time. And Hidalgo just keeps being the man. And that will take us to our technical timeout here in our third set. The Colorado Kraken lead by 6. And they're on the verge of what you would consider a major upset here in the NVA. Come back for more. And we are back here, San Bernardino, Mother's Day 2022, where the Kraken are hot right now, and Liam Jenkinson trying to continue this run. Mashikin with the tip. Rosa comes out of nowhere, but the Kraken are pulled into the net. So Sisla right now serving to try to preserve Southern exposure, because this is a terrible showing for a team that was a semifinalist last year, with everybody back. And I know they're missing some pieces defensively today, including their starting libero, who is out this weekend, but there's no excuse for them being, quite frankly, manhandled right now. I know these 9 a.m. Pacific time matches are not the easiest to play in, especially if you're East Coast based and your body might be on a different time zone. And when you're traveling out here, you got the 3-hour difference you're making up. But you got to be able to play. You're a pro. You got to be able to play whatever time the match starts. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse. It's nothing different for anyone that's ever played, club volleyball. You start at 8 a.m. If you're playing overseas in other countries, guys that go there, the top leagues in the world, you're waking up at 3 a.m. to hop on a bus to drive for 16 hours to go play the next day. That is the reality of this sport worldwide. You don't get the NFL treatment, which is still exhausting in the sense that you got a private charter jet. Like, no, the top leagues in the world, you're hopping on buses to drive and get out and perform at an expected level.
Now the club note hit close to home because my daughter plays club volleyball back in New Jersey. With 16s right now, and when I see those tournament schedules and it says 8 a.m., not game, but 8 a.m. you're working, and we got to get up at 5 a.m. to get her there in time to work at 8 a.m. It's rough enough when she's playing at that hour. I dread that.
I'm curious, do you ever start doing some play-by-play for the 16-year-olds?
The parents have asked me to, but I sit back and I just criticize the coaching and the officiating. I actually got into a bickering match. I almost got thrown out in Philadelphia.
Wow, that sounds, I don't think I would expect anything less, but I'm glad to know that you're not contributing in the way that you do here for our league, but you instead take on the role of a true parent, yelling scoreboard when people take more than 4 seconds to flip a score over.
I don't do that, but one of the officials called a ball in that was out by 4.5 feet. And we had some choice words.
That's a big stuff block there for exposure. A nice little heartbeat coming to life now for this team down by 4. They've got enough time to make a comeback, but they're going to have to outscore exposure 2-1 here, or Kraken 2-1. So if they want to make the move, they've got to do it now.
I will say, after I did have that conversation, the referee did come over to me. He was like, "That was my bad. That ball was out. I missed that."
Yeah, you just can't show them up, See, another reason I just can't stand the MLB, to get back on that topic from yesterday. See blown calls from umpires calling timeouts, talking to guys in the first inning and getting them thrown out. Couldn't catch me with that one, Ira.
Well, the problem here, when you have a daughter playing and you become the loud dad, she will stare you down on the court. And that's my sign to pucker up.
Yep.
Shut my mouth.
Politely become a spectator, not a commentator.
Exactly. So 5-point lead here for Colorado. Sisla, and that's a dug up by Hidalgo as he had to go down unorthodox. Eddie pops it up, sent over here. Colorado with a chance to pull closer. And this is missed wide. There is a setter change that has been made, by the way, for Colorado. And we talked about him a little bit in the pregame. Rowdy Martin, who certainly brings in some energy and a different look. He's out there right now. Colorado still up by 4. Here's Tyler Hubbard-Neal. Back set by Martin. We also have another change for Colorado, and now on the court is DJ Fa'agata. Messed that up. Fa'agata, there you go. That's the right way to say it. Jeez Louise, Ira, come on. And a kill there for the Southern Exposure is they've got to find a way to chip away here late, right? They've had opportunities, and Colorado's been answering everything today, and they haven't had Langston Payne in there to help out with the blocking scheme today, so you got to rely on the middles out there, or Foha gets a chance to swing. That cuts it to 4. And that's blocked back. And Lurich teaming up with Cisa, so back-to-back for Southern Exposure and Nick, and showing a little bit of life late here.
Yeah, I love to see Cecil getting in there and helping Lurich out. When you see the middle coming through on a 3 route, nice job there, recognizing exactly what's coming at him.
Boha with the serve. Colorado trying to end the scoring drought, and they do here, as that is off of the block. Good recognition there. Aberdeen from the back row. I don't think that ever went over. And he left it short on the bick, and my goodness, Colorado leads now 23-18 in Southern Exposure. I don't know what else you could possibly say at this point, Nick.
I mean, what I can say is I'm very impressed by the Kraken squad we've seen today. Exposure's leaving a lot to be desired. It's just an uninspired performance. There's a lot of talented plays that they're putting together, but they're just missing that spark that made Exposure who they were last year. But right now, I love to see how Kraken is handling the diversity. The defense has been inspired. Rosa back there commanding the back line. Alvaro Hidalgo picking up a lot of different digs back there, and so I just feel like they're really bringing a complete package from the defensive transition into solid offensive swings.
Obviously, Derek Sullivan coming back will bring them some energy, but I mean, other than Sullivan and obviously not having Johnny Gomez and Kyle D'Agostino, we don't know when we're going to see Kyle this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Kyle playing a lot, but maybe not for Southern Exposure.
As that is put away by Lurich. Where do you expect to see Kyle play?
Playing in a different color, some red, white, and blue. Playing with Team USA.
I love that color.
Yeah, it's a good one.
No,
It looks great on D'Agostino, who's made a bunch of trips overseas. He competes and trains with the USA team in the offseason, so it looks like he's been climbing that ladder. I don't know yet to what extent, but keep an eye out during the summers in the offseason. There's a lot of different international cups that take place, and so I expect that we'll see him popping up on some of those rosters.
So Julian Lopez, 6 match points to work with for Colorado. And he ends it with an ace as the expansion Kraken with their biggest win to date, shocking last year's semifinalists and doing it in a sweep. 25-23, 25-23, 25-19, and Colorado goes unbeaten on the week, and they're 2-2 on the year. Southern Exposure didn't see this coming. They're 1-3.
Yeah, that's a shocking start, and definitely, you know, they're in the same conference as the Ramblers. So I was expecting, you know, being a part of that organization, I was expecting a very close competition and head-to-head with those guys. So the fact that they're off to a 1-3 start is very surprising. So
now you have 10 regular season matches, so there's still plenty of time for Southern Exposure to get back to the lab and figure this out. But right now, they have 3 weeks to train to get ready for Memorial Day's weekend's events, and it's not looking pretty right now.
No, it's certainly not, but we're going to take a moment. We're going to look at the schedule here shortly. I think you're going to go grab our man of the match, and let's go ahead and take a look at what's to come the rest of the day. The next match here coming up is going to be the Dallas Tornadoes squaring off against the New Jersey Freedom. That's at noon. That should be a very exciting matchup. Yesterday, Team Freedom absolutely handled Chicago Untouchables in that rivalry head-to-head. Dallas Tornadoes has had a lot of their guys returning to form and returning to the court. So this is going to be a very exciting next match at noon. After that, the currently winless Inland Empire Matadors will take on the also winless Chicago Untouchables. Chicago has had a lot of pieces performing at a very high level for them. However, have not yet quite been able to find their rhythm and stride. Inland Empire Matadors continuing to add some new pieces, and it's showing to be quite successful for them thus far. But that will make sure that one team is able to tally their first win. And finally, the weekend will conclude with the Seattle Sasquatch taking on the LA Blaze. Sasquatch also still hunting for their first win, coming in at 0-3. Meanwhile, the LA Blaze sitting at 2-1 and showing a team that we much more expected to see last season. That squad still missing some of the pieces that are so iconic in that roster. However, the pieces that they do have are performing at the level we have expected to see. Last season, they missed out on the playoffs before their last match of the season even began. But right now, they're setting themselves up brilliantly to make a great late season appearance. So excited to see what those guys are able to do. In the meantime, if you aren't sure where to find those schedules, be sure to check us out on NVAUSA.com. NVA USA on Instagram, our app at NVA USA, also live on TikTok all weekend long. That's showing a slightly different view. If you're someone that likes to see the baseline cam volumetric view, that's exactly what we've got going on, a 25-foot tripod at the baseline. You don't have to hear us talking about the game. Unfortunately, can't see the score live, but all the fans there have been very active, keeping track of what's going on. So a great way to engage in a slightly different manner. Matches are always going live on YouTube as well as through the app and on our website through the live stream section of the website. So a variety of ways to get involved. But of course, as always, NVAUSA.shop is the most important way. A great way to go support your teams by grabbing your favorite gear so that when you come off an awesome weekend on Monday, you're able to showcase your favorite teams. We're going to throw it over courtside now to our man of the match, who's going to require a little bit of translation help as the Peruvian All-Star is joined by Ira Thor. Ira, take it away.
Thanks, Nick. We're here courtside with Alvaro Hidalgo after a tremendous effort today. 18 kills, no errors in 28 attacks as the Colorado Kraken pull off by far the biggest upset of the NVA season. And, of course, we are also joined alongside starting libero JJ Rosa. He is our translator for our post-game interview. And the first question is, this is by far the biggest upset of the year. You guys, an expansion team, I don't think anybody expected a result like this. For you guys, what was the game plan coming in against a very experienced Southern Exposure squad?
Él pregunta cuál fue la estrategia para traer como Southern Exposure y su experiencia. ¿Qué piensas que fue el plan para poder trabajar un juego como este y salir con la victoria?
Yo creo que más que una estrategia táctica, fue una estrategia de grupo. Lo que nosotros intentábamos hoy día, sabiendo que era un partido muy complicado, era más que todo jugar en equipo, jugar todos integrados para que las cosas puedan funcionar.
He said that our strategy was more than group than individual, and we do a great job playing as a group, so we can handle that win like a Southern Exposure team.
Now, you played 2 matches this year, have not had an attack error yet, putting up big numbers. Probably one of our most improved players in the NVA from the last time you appeared to now. How have you made such a drastic change where you've become, almost unstoppable on the court?
Él pregunta cómo trabajaste a diferencia del año pasado con los Matadors a este con Kraken, ¿verdad? Que has mejorado en un año. ¿Qué ha sido tu plan de trabajo para poder mejorar tu juego?
Bueno, cuando jugué el año pasado aquí tenía mucho tiempo sin jugar, desde que había terminado de jugar la liga en España, pero este año me he mantenido más en trabajo físico, en trabajo técnico, y me ha ayudado mucho también el grupo humano que tenemos en el equipo.
The last year when Matadors, he was out without playing. Now he was playing in Spain and the national team Peru, so he was working out. So he was. What's the last time he played in Spain? May, Marzo, Abril. Yeah. So he was playing until April and May, and Spain. So he come here to play with us.
Well, we certainly have seen the difference. Final question, you guys now have 3 weeks to continue to work, build upon what was a 2-0 weekend. Where do you want to see the most growth for this team going forward as you continue to exceed expectations?
Well, for me, I'm seeing my team going for more wins. I think that we have a good group, younger group. I think I'm the older from the team, so that's cool. We've been practicing, we've been scouting all the teams, so I think that Jonathan had a good job in the sideline. We're expecting to have more wins, so you have to keep up an eye on Kraken.
Should we have Alvaro translate that into Spanish? I'm kidding. That's a joke. Post-game joke as Alvaro Hidalgo joined alongside our designated translator and tremendous libero, JJ Rosa. Colorado Kraken, look at that. Shocking the NVA with a sweep of last year's semifinalist Southern Exposure. Back to you, Nick.
We got a chance to highlight during that match the fact that we had 5 different countries as well as Puerto Rico territory represented on the court at the same time. That was incredible, and it's a true representation of how diverse this league is, but the language is all universal, and that's playing volleyball. Love to see that. Thankful for JJ Rosa stepping in and helping us translate. That's going to do it for us here. 1.5 hours until we're live again at noon. Team Freedom, Dallas Tornadoes, NVA fans, we'll see you back here then.